who joins. It's been a while. I was gonna go live, maybe I will go live tomorrow. I was gonna go live tomorrow and then I realized it's Christmas Eve. So maybe not a good idea. I don't know. Welcome, happy Monday. What a weekend. Let's see. Hello. When I first started live streaming every single day, this is the time I would do. I would do 11 a.m. Okay, so today, if you're watching the playback, obviously we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend in New York City on the subway. That was definitely the most horrific thing I've ever seen, ever. Any other news things that are going on today? We will check Twitter. Hello, thank you for joining. Ha! Charlie Kirk just tweeted, I am increasingly worried Biden is going to blanket pardon every single illegal alien in the country before he leaves office. He did pardon 37 people. So this is what it is right here. Hi, thank you for joining. So we're just reading about these pardons. It was Charlie Kirk that just wrote that he's worried Biden is going to just blanket pardon all of the illegal immigrants. Can he do that? President Biden is commuting the sentences of nearly all the inmates on federal death row, a move that comes not even 2 weeks after he went through the largest single-day grant of clemency in American history, the White House announced on Monday. Of the 40 inmates on federal death row, according to deathpenaltyinfo.org, Biden is commuting 37 men sentenced to death, reclassifying their sentences to life without the possibility of parole. The 3 inmates not included, so these are the people that are not included. Robert Bowers, who is responsible for the mass shooting of Tree of Life Synagogue in 2018, which left 11 people dead. Dylan Roof, a white supremacist who killed 9 black parishioners at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina in 2015. I remember that. And, excuse me, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Dzhokhar Tarsanev, who worked with his now dead brother to perpetuate the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings that killed 3 people and injured hundreds. You know, Tarsanov, he's actually, I don't know if he's still there, but there is a really, hold on, let me see if I can find the information. So I have a really good friend that is a federal probation officer. She's kind of a, excuse my language, she's kind of a, hi, I'm good. Okay, so my friend, she's a federal probation officer. Excuse my language. She's kind of a badass. She gets to walk around with a gun, and she has been, so in the state of Colorado, that's where she lives, there is a maximum security prison, and that is actually where Tarsanov is. Here it is, maximum security prison in Colorado. She got to go there. United States Penitentiary Florence Administrative Maximum Facility is a United States federal prison in Fremont County, Colorado, operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I thought, yeah, this place is wild. Yeah, so this is the highest security prison in the entire U.S. The most infamous criminals at ADX Florence, Colorado, America's highest security federal prison. ADX is home to some of the world's most notorious criminals, including Mexican drug kingpin El Chapo, shoe bomber Richard Reed and Boston Marathon bomber Tarsanev. So he's in that facility. Yeah, and she went there. No, thank you. I thought some of it was underground. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so he's listing all those pardons. The three, and okay, the men being resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole are convicted of various murderous acts against one person or multiple. Among the victims of the 37 men are law enforcement officers, children, and other inmates. A handful of men on death row were also set to be executed with their co-defendants. Biden, who only supports the death penalty at the federal level for terrorism and hate-motivated mass murder, said this move will prevent President-elect Donald Trump's administration from carrying out the execution sentences that would not be handed down under current policy and practice. The president declared a moratorium on federal executions after taking office in 2021. That just seems like a really that seems like a really odd place to put your focus. Hello, Bunky. The convicted murderers who will now escape execution include Maravici Barnett, who killed a man in a carjacking, and his ex-girlfriend, co-defendants Brandon Bosham and Chadrick Fulks, who kidnapped and killed a woman after escaping prison, Anthony Battle, who killed a prison guard, Jason Brown, who stabbed a postal worker to death. See, in my opinion, if you're going after if you're going after anyone, but especially official workers, that should be Thomas Hagar, who committed a drug-related killing, David Runyon, who participated in the murder to hire plot of a naval officer. Man, this sends such a clear message that you do not care about the people that work for you. A naval officer. Thomas Sanders, who kidnapped and killed a 12-year-old girl, Rajon Taylor, who carjacked, kidnapped, and killed a restaurant owner, and Alejandro Umana, who killed two brothers inside of a restaurant. Two men were on death row for the murders of witnesses. Police officer Len Davis, who ordered the murder of a witness who was a part of an investigation into a misconduct complaint against him, and Ronald Mikos, who killed a federal grand jury witness in a Medicare fraud investigation. Lastly, Monday's communications joined Biden's list of similar moves during his presidency, which have sparked mixed reactions from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle who have outpaced any president in modern history compared to length of service. Biden faced criticism earlier this month when he commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 prisoners placed in home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic and pardoned 40 others, including his son. And here's the thing about his son. This is why no one trusts this administration and Democrats, because he came out and specifically said, who's mama? He came out and specifically said that he was not going to pardon Hunter Biden. And then he turned around and what did he do? He pardoned Hunter Biden. And you would almost think that would be something that people would understand more than anything. You might disagree, you might think they're criminals or whatever, but at least you can sort of play the devil's advocate. Well, that is his son, he's standing by his family. But he came out and said, no, I'm not going to pardon him, and then the public watched him do that, and they wonder why we don't believe anything that they say. It was interesting. I made a different video. It was called the Elon Musk effect. I'll post it here, but it was basically, you had the purple hair Congresswoman, Dan Crenshaw. They came out, they were so upset that the 1,500 page omnibus bill wasn't being passed. They were just so upset about this. The purple hair lady, what's her name? Rosa DeLoria or something. She came out and said, this President Musk, he's so dangerous and he's trying to he's getting people to shut down the government and people are going to go without paychecks. This woman, if you research her net worth, which isn't always completely accurate, but she has a net worth, it says online, of $30 million and makes around $174,000 per year. So I think she's going to be okay. And they didn't do a shutdown. Nobody ever wanted a shutdown, but you can't jam through these omnibus bills, 1,500 pages that no one even has the chance to read. Within that bill, it was immunity for the January 6th committee. You had pay raises for Congress. You had expanded health care for Congress. You had a brand new stadium in Washington, D.C., an NFL stadium, because priorities. You had, oh, my favorite one was we want to officially change in our government literature, we want to officially change the word offender to, what is it, justice involved individual. Nobody cares. Nobody wants their tax dollars spent on this. And here's the thing, too, about Dan Crenshaw and purple-haired lady whining. Why do you feel like you need a raise? I find it interesting to think that you need a raise when we've been told for the past 4 years that the economy is great. Meanwhile, no one can afford to buy groceries. Our southern border is wide open with millions of illegal immigrants coming into our country, killing Americans. You're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine while we had Lahaina, East Palestine, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. You're not even doing the most basic functions of your job, which is to make sure we have a border. Just make sure we have a border. I can't think of anything more basic, and you're not even doing that, and you think that you're owed a raise? Squeeze me. No, you're not getting a raise. But they did eventually get the bill pushed through. The only thing that Elon Musk really did that was so extraordinary is he read the bill, or had someone read the bill, and then told people what was in it. It was the American people that pushed back and said, absolutely not. We're not pushing this through. Kelly, hi. You're wrong about everything. Yeah, it went from a 1,500-page document to a 120-page document that really emphasized what people really wanted their taxpayer dollars to go to: help people in North Carolina, help people in Tennessee. And it's just the audacity, the sheer audacity. And there's another thing I learned about Purple Hair Lady. She has held that position. Her congresswoman, she's District 3 out of Connecticut, Purple Hair Lady. She's a lady that was whining and crying about Elon Musk, about the possible government shutdown. He's the one that told everyone to shut the government down. No. People were like, why are we funding changing the word offender to justice involved individual? And it worked. The American, and what's cool is this has never happened in history, where we got a peek inside one of these bills and then the American public said no, and they actually stopped it and made a difference. This is actually really, really cool. I am so excited heading into the new year. I am so excited with this new administration. It is so nice to see just men acting like men in strength and masculinity. And it's really nice to see people that aren't afraid to say what needs to be said. My favorite thing that I think I've heard said was Tom Homan. So Tom Homan is our new border czar. I really like him. I think he's the perfect person for the job. But a lot of people were saying, I have a story for you. A lot of people were talking about the separation of families because, you have people that give birth to their children are now U.S. citizens, and then they're deported. And he said, you know what, you don't have to separate families. You actually don't have to separate families. They can go together. And that's the attitude that it should be, because far too many people take advantage of this, and they're on the taxpayer dime. There was one family, let me see if I can find this story. Yeah, mom and babies deported after missing immigration hearing. Mother deported. Let me see if I can get this headline for you. She said, I feel devastated. Texas new mom deported for missed immigration hearing after C-section, family attorney says. A Texas mother says she was unfairly deported to Mexico. Oh, unfairly? No, you unfairly came to our country. Sorry. I'm so tired of these people. A Texas mother says she was unfairly deported to Mexico and forced to depart the U.S. with her 4 children after missing an immigration court hearing because she was recovering from delivering a premature newborn twins. Infants Ashley and Allison, both of whom are U.S. citizens born in Houston, have been enduring pneumonia and bronchitis, often needing oxygen masks to breathe. According to the family, the chain of events started on September 13th when the twins were born at 35 weeks. I had to have an emergency C-section. My babies were born prematurely. I was very ill having my hemorrhage. This is another thing that happens. You have people that come into this country, they're not healthy, they have all these problems, and they don't have health insurance. So the taxpayers are paying their medical bills. And these hospitals are going bankrupt. And a lot of these are publicly funded hospitals because those are the ones that don't turn anyone away. This is a perfect example of you cannot have open borders and be a welfare state, because we literally have hospitals in a lot of these hub cities that are going bankrupt. One of them being Denver Health and Denver Hospital. Salazar's husband called a phone number given to the family by Immigration Services to inform them of the situation because the mother was scheduled to appear in immigration court on October 9th. The family was told on the phone that the immigration hearing would be rescheduled. During the press conference Monday, she was told by doctors to recover at home. Arellano, 24, and Salazar have been married since 2019. Arellano is a U.S. citizen born in Houston, and Salazar is a Mexican national. In addition to the twins, Ashley and Allison, the couple also share a 2-year-old. Okay, so basically, long story short, mom was deported for missing her immigration hearing, and she took her natural-born babies, or her U.S. citizen babies, with her. And this is the game that a lot of people will play, and this is how a lot of parents can sort of do immigration fraud. They'll come here, have a baby because of birthright citizenship, and then all of a sudden that baby is now a U.S. citizen. And they say, no, I can't leave. My baby's a citizen. You can't separate us. Tom Homan is like, no, you can go together. Bye. You don't do that. And what's really frustrating, there is a show called Border Patrol, or like, it's something, I don't know. I see episodes of it on YouTube, and they basically follow the Border Patrol, the border agents that are at the airports, and how strict they are with people coming in. I actually watched a Border Patrol deny entry to a woman that was way too far along in her pregnancy because she couldn't prove that she had the funds to be able to pay for her birth. So she wasn't allowed in the U.S. That is how strict they are. So in my opinion, no, you can all go home. You come the right way. Sorry, we're a welfare state. You can't. These people complain about the corruption in their home country while desecrating our laws. Absolutely. Thank you for that comment. That's such a good way to put it. These people complain about the corruption in their country, and then they come and corrupt our country and undermine our laws. That's exactly what they do. And I'm losing sympathy. The little ounce of sympathy that I had for these people is completely gone. And I don't know if I had a few videos on this story of this man, a legal immigrant. So this happened yesterday. Coffee. I didn't see that whole conversation. Kelly, my sympathy ran out a few years ago. I still, I'm too nice, and I think I still, I was holding on to it for a while, and now I'm just done. I'm just really done. especially after this past weekend. So on the subway in New York City, we still don't have the identity of the victim, but an illegal immigrant from Guatemala just went up to a random woman who was asleep upright on the subway train in Coney Island, went to her with a lighter and just calmly lit her on fire and watched her as she burned. It was probably one of the most traumatizing videos. There's video of it. One of the most traumatizing videos I've ever seen. He not only, so he lights her on fire. She's burning alive. He watches her. He sits on a bench outside of the car. She's in the doorway of the subway car, burning alive, and he is just calmly watching her. At one point within the video, he gets up and fans her flames in order to, you know what you do? You fan the flames to make the, And I'm still confused about how this happened too. It was really alarming watching the video, not just because of that, but because of what was happening in the surrounding area. The woman is standing there in the doorway burning. She's really not moving that much, which I would think you would stop, drop, and roll or flail around, try to get the flames out. So I don't know what's going on there. If she's still asleep, was she on drugs? Was she homeless? We have no idea. I think the only identifying factors is that she appeared to be a Black female. That was really the only thing. You see a cop just walk by. No one tried to put a jacket on her. No one did anything. So no one helped. There were people that were filming it and they were just filming it, but nobody helped. And maybe that's the Daniel Penny effect. I don't know. No one helped. They just filmed. Yeah, even the police officer walked by, like slowly walked by. There was no urgency anywhere. And the suspect was literally able to just sit there and watch her burn alive. It was, I've never seen anything like it. I kind of want like more like... Anyway, what we found out, so the original information was that he came across our border from Guatemala in 2018, and he actually made contact. He was apprehended by Border Patrol June of that same year and deported. This is the update we got. He was deported by the Trump administration and came back sometime since. So, Trump ended catch and release, and because of that, he was deported under Trump's administration, came back some point between them. I would guess under the Biden administration, who knows? But he ended up in New York City living in the taxpayer-funded shelters. He was actually, his last address was a shelter on Randall's Island. That is for all the illegal immigrants. So he's here on the taxpayer dime. And he's just lurking on the subway, lighting people on fire. Anyway, he has no other criminal history other than a transit ticket that he got in New York City in 2023 at some point. And again, his last address was a shelter on Randall's Isle. So there's that. There's the contrast between catch and release and no catch and release. And you have to think this guy was here on the taxpayer dime. We also have a video of him. His name was Sebastian Zapata. Wait, hold on. This is Bill Malusian. We have an update on him. Okay, new. Sebastian Zapata. DHS sources, the suspect accused of burning a woman to death on the NYC subway is Guatemalan illegal alien who was previously deported by the Trump administration and re-entered the U.S. illegally as a getaway at an unknown time and location. I'm told he was arrested by Border Patrol on 6/1/2018 after he crossed illegally into Arizona, and he was deported just days later on 6/7/2018. DHS has no record of him entering the U.S. after that, meaning he snuck back into the U.S. without any encounter with Border Patrol or CBP. It is unknown where and when that happened. But he did end up in New York City in taxpayer-funded shelters. And the video of him so he took a video of himself. I'll turn this around and show it to you. I heard it was directly after he lit her on fire. I can't tell, but you can see his demeanor. This is definitely the same day because he's wearing the same exact hoodie that he had in the video. But I just want you to see his face and demeanor.
La pregunta no es de que yo tomo mi cerveza, yo vivo lo que yo soy, mientras que no molesto a nadie.
So that's basically his demeanor. The attack happened at 7:30 a.m., so I'm guessing this is around the time, and he's just completely intoxicated on the train. He does say, hold on, I'm going to read to you what he says. They translated it in English. Okay, hold on. So he says, I drink my beer as I please, and I live what I am. So I'm guessing he's trying to say, I drink my beer as I please, and I live with what I am. As long as I don't bother anyone, I don't bother anyone. Why the effing people have problems with me? That is the problem. I don't give a shit. So that's what he said. That was, I don't know if it was directly after or before or what. I think after. But this is what you have. And I've made this point before about all of these migrant men that are in New York City. These guys, a lot of them don't have jobs. They're around his age. They have nothing to do all day, and they just drink and do drugs. And that is a recipe for disaster, obviously. Speaking of Tom Homan, our borders are. News, would you be surprised at all to hear that there's yet another stain on the sanctuary city of New York? The New York City top cop, Jeffrey Madry, has officially self-deported from his position. The New York City top cop, Jeffrey Madry, has officially self-deported from his position. NYPD Chief Jeffrey Madry resigned shortly before Lieutenant Quatisha Epps, an administrative staff in his office, accused him of quid pro quo actual sexual harassment of all overtime employee opportunities, noting nothing surprises me anymore with this kind of news out of New York. New York is just very corrupt. Oh, and to make things even worse, hours before this attack happened, Governor Kathy Hochul, in March, I took action to make sure our subways are safer for the millions of people who take the trains each day. Since deploying the National Guard to support the NYPD and MTA safety efforts and adding cameras to all subway cars, crime is going down, rioting is going up. This is what they've been trying to do to the middle class, and this is really what it is. There's not a race divide in this country. There's not a class, or there's not a gender divide, maybe a little bit, but the real big divide in this country that they don't want you to know about is the class divide. And they are actively trying to make it too expensive for the middle class to drive in New York City, forcing them onto the subway. Meanwhile, this stuff is happening all the time. And she says, my National Guard is there, my police is there. A police officer literally walked by while the woman was burning alive. That illegal immigrant did not look at all concerned that a police officer walked by. He didn't look afraid at all. He just continued to sit there and watch the girl burn. There was no urgency. There was no, I'm afraid of what's going to happen to me. Nothing. So you can put all the National Guard you want. You can put all the police you want. You can put all the cameras that you want. All of those things were present in this situation, maybe minus National Guard, and it still happened. It brought national attention to the crisis. Yeah, that's a positive thing. Is that cop still a cop? Oh, I'm sure. And maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But I watched the cop walk right by while she was burning alive. No one even tried to do anything. And the thing is, like, a lot of these places, again, put all the cameras you want, put all the National Guard you want, do this, do that. There are no consequences for crime. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these emboldened criminals. There's no consequence. They're not afraid of the consequence because they know they're not going to have one. Well, you know what's really interesting? Hold on, let me see if I can find this story. Okay, so this story came out of September of 2023. Venezuela takes control of a gang-run jail, dismantles Tren de Aragua. Gee, I wonder if they ended up here. Yeah, this is an interesting story. And this started happening like right around, I mean, that was a little over a year ago. So this prison raid did happen around the same time when, you know, activity started picking up in the United States with the same gang. So it says Venezuela, whoops. Oh, and the date of this is September 24th of 2023. I believe the actual raid happened September 20th of 2023. It says, Venezuela says it dismantled the Tren de Aragua gang after retaking control of a prison controlled by the FEAR criminal group in the northern state of Aragua. So this is where they started. That's why they're called Tren de Aragua. Interior Minister Remigio Cabellas made the claim on Saturday, days after the Venezuelan government sent in 11,000 soldiers and police into the Tocaron prison, which had restaurants, bars, and even outdoor swimming pools, and functioned as the operating center for Tren de Aragua. He did not offer additional details. However, the Tren de Aragua gang, which reportedly members some 5,000 criminals, emerged in 2014, specializing in kidnapping, robberies, drugs, prostitution, and extortion. According to officials, it has extended its influence to other activities, some legal but also illegal gold mining. Authorities claim the raid to retake the Tocaron prison on Wednesday was dealt a devastating blow to the gang. But civil society groups have questioned its success, noting that the leader of Tren de Aragua had escaped the operation. Hold on, let me take a sip. It's a big cup. Okay. The Venezuelan Prison Observatory, a group that follows developments in the country's notoriously dangerous detention centers, said the head of the gang, Hector Guerrero, and other leaders were tipped off before the raid and managed to flee the prison and the country a week beforehand. Where do you think their destination was, if they did flee? The OVV did not specify which countries they went to, accusing authorities of opacity. What does opacity mean? Hold on, new word alert, new word alert. Opacity. That's a good one. Okay, the condition of lacking transparency or translucent. Opaqueness. Oh, we learned a new word. Good for us. Where's that article? The OVV did not specify which countries they went to, accusing authorities of opacity. The authorities have denied those allegations. Cabello said that on Saturday, some 88 members who escaped during the raid by security forces have been recaptured and that most of the prison's 1,600 inmates have already been relocated to other jails across the country. This is a long-term operation. He told journalists. The minister added that authorities would continue to look for people suspected of belonging to the gang. The government on Saturday took some 30 journalists on a limited tour of the prison where excavators were seen taking down some of the infrastructure built by the prisoners. The AFP news agency said few streets that reporters were allowed to see were littered with beer bottles, clothing, TVs, appliances, and stuffed animals. It said there were abandoned food stands near the pool and a basketball court that reporters did not get to see. And that reporters did not get to see what was left of the zoo with its pink flamingos. They had a zoo in the prison with flamingos. I love flamingos. They're so majestic. The government has previously said 4 prison officials had been arrested and charged with complicity with the criminals. Okay, so this is basically what was happening in Venezuela. So they had this huge prison raid, and a lot of people were accusing the Venezuelan government of doing sort of a negotiation during this raid, a negotiation with some of the Tren de Aragua leaders, and that would look something like, okay, you let us raid your prison and tell everyone that it was a huge success that we dismantled, we'll turn the other way and let you go. And again, their lack of transparency is what's causing people to be even more suspicious. And you also had like family members, like wives, girlfriends, sisters, I don't know, of some of the members when they did this raid. And some of these family members actually came to the site where the prison was to look for their other or whatever. And some of them couldn't find the other person. They were just gone. So a lot of people speculate that this was sort of a negotiation and not maybe the success that they try to make it out to be. Obviously, maybe they dismantled it. They dismantled it in Venezuela, but it's growing in America. So they went somewhere. Oh, wait. So that was, okay. So this was September of 2023. Okay. Wow. Wow. When did the raid happen? That was September 4th, Okay, so that article I read you, that was September 24th of 2023. This article, September 21st, 2023. Hold on. What date did the Venezuelan No, not that. Tren de Aragua. Okay, so the actual raid happened September 20th, 2023. And then this story came out September 21st, 2023. I'm trying to figure this out. So basically, we're giving protected status to people from Venezuela while all this is going on. Oh, what did I just do with that story? Okay, so actually a year before that prison break, United States immigration officials are set to begin accepting applications for a new parole program for Venezuelan asylum seekers, and a plan that will see most Venezuelans trying to enter the U.S. through its southern border expelled back to Mexico. Yeah, but they're flying them in. The Department of Homeland Security on Tuesday published a Federal Register notice announcing that the official program will start later that week that will allow 24,000 Venezuelans to come to the U.S. by air. Okay, so this is what I'm sorry, I was trying to figure this out. I hope you can follow me. I didn't know I was going to stumble upon this. Okay, so that program had been in place since October of 2022. The prison raid happens September 20th, 2023. September 21st, 2023, Joe Biden extends that program. The administration of President Joe Biden has extended its temporary legal status to an estimated 500,000 Venezuelans living in the United States, citing extraordinary circumstances. Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas announced the decision late on Wednesday, saying that the conditions in their home country prevent their safe return. It's crazy that announcement was made the same time the Venezuelan the Venezuelan government is like, we dismantled Tren de Aragua. It's safer. Interesting. Okay, but excuse me. But the response over the following day has been divided as Democrats and Republicans grapple with how to best address the influx of arrivals. Venezuela has faced years of long humanitarian crisis, with more than 7 million migrants and refugees fleeing the country to escape dire poverty and political repression. The decision to extend TPS will allow hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans already living in the U.S. apply for work authorization, a move Democrats hope will alleviate the stress on social service programs. It also offers protection from deportation, at least temporarily. The latest TPS designation lasts 18 months and applies only to Venezuelans who enter the U.S. before July 31st. Okay, so that was after the prison break. Or that was before the prison break. Democrats have long pushed for a TPS extension, framing the move as necessary to support both Venezuelans and government services. New York City in particular has been struggling to accommodate arrivals. Okay, we know all this. So I guess the point of all of that is a lot of people were saying, that's a conspiracy theory to think that, they're breaking out of prison and coming to the U.S. No, it's not. It's not. That's very plausible. That could have very much happened. And if you look back in the day, hold on. Was it Castro back in the Muriel boat lift in the 80s? I think that's what he did. He emptied out his asylums. There were a lot of people that were trying to escape Cuba, and he was like, okay, I'll let you go. And he let out the asylum, the insane asylums and prison, and they migrated to Florida. Why would you not do that? It's very expensive to keep people in prisons and insane asylums. So why would you not want to empty them out and just say go? I mean, that to me makes perfect sense. This one came out. Remember, the prison raid was September 20th of 2022 or 2023. This is September 22nd, 2022. House Republicans sound alarm over report Venezuela is sending violent criminals to the U.S. border. House Republicans are sounding the alarm over a reported move by Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro to empty out prisons of violent criminals and send them to the U.S. southern border, with Republicans warning that such a move could set the U.S. in grave danger. We write you with serious concern over the U.S. Department of Homeland Security intelligence report received by Border Patrol that instructs agents to look for violent criminals from Venezuela among the migrant caravans heading to the U.S.-Mexico border. The report said to have described it as common knowledge among migrants that many of the Venezuelan migrants were convicts and included hardened criminals. Criminals are said to include those convicted of rape, murder, and extortion. A source told the outlet that without effective diplomatic relations with Venezuela, identifying Venezuelans with criminal records is nearly impossible. Well, we're living that today. A lot of the crimes that have happened all over the U.S. Laken Riley was Venezuela. Who else was Venezuela? What is her name? Jocelyn Nungary. That was Venezuela. They were suspected to be, actually, yeah, Laken Riley, that was Venezuela. Jose Ibarra is suspected to be in connection with Tren de Aragua. Jocelyn Nungary, that was Venezuela. They, I believe, also are suspected to be involved in Tren de Aragua. We know there are apartment takeovers in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, they're definitely here, and they're very violent and very dangerous. And the difference is, so we'll just look at Denver, Colorado specifically. So I used to work for the city of Denver. I worked with children, but I worked for the city in human services, and I did have to attend a gang training. So it was a gang training in Denver by the Denver Police Department, and they were just coming and just telling us about the gangs. So Denver has always had a pretty significant Hispanic gang population. The difference is they usually fight amongst themselves. They're not really bothering the general public, but that's different with Tren de Aragua. That's their whole MO, is bothering the general public. Robberies, burglaries, extortion, trafficking, all of that stuff. Unfortunately, the biggest victims in all of this are going to be other undocumented migrants, and they're the perfect victims because they're basically nameless. They can just disappear into obscurity and no one's going to go look for them. So that's what they do. And it's funny too, I follow this guy, he's an ex-mafia boss, and he says the same thing. He's like, we did crime, but our neighborhoods were safe. Like, we looked out for the women, the children in our neighborhoods, the elderly. Like, we took care of things. Our neighborhoods were clean and they were safe. That's not the kind of crime that we were doing. So again, these are just different types of crime. No respect for human life, no regard for human life. And I think the last story that came out of Denver, Colorado was the story of the 14 members of Tren de Aragua that were arrested, and they were torturing people, taking their fingernails off, extorting them for rent money. And if you follow the timeline of when you'll hear in Denver, it's like once a month. So it's almost like it's collection time. And that's what they do. They'll wait for a regular resident to move out of an apartment. They take the apartment over, they move in a migrant family, and then extort them every month for rent. And that seems to be, when you're hearing a lot of these stories and a lot of the violence, it's like it's once a month. It's collection time. So they go and collect that money. Are you talking to me? There's no excuse for this caravan to get through. Hi, Hawk. Hi, sister. Are you a namaste? I don't know what that means. Someone said, oh, hello. Migration is important only if it is for a good cause. Yeah, migration isn't a bad thing. It is very important. I think that's a great thing about living. We can go and move everywhere, but not all migration is equal. And not all people that come to the country are equal, and not all people have equal intentions. I think that immigration is a great thing. Where, my dad's family came from Italy. My mom's family came from Germany. So obviously most of us are descendants of immigrants, but it's the type of immigration that's coming. This type of mass migration where we'll just take an example of the person that is being accused with burning the woman alive in the New York City subway. What was he doing? It didn't seem like he was working. He was just hanging out on the subway drinking all day. Is that someone we want in our country? No. But when you have open borders like this, that's who you get. Your high quality immigrants are not going to be coming over the border illegally. They're going to be doing it the right way. All right, you all. I think that's everything I have for you today. That was a fun live stream. Whoa, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Maybe I'll do a day live stream tomorrow, but I'll announce it before I do it. And I'll have better format next time. So I'll have video. I like to add videos and obviously have it the right way. So it'll be better next time and include articles. I just wanted to say hi. Hi, Keith. I think that's all. Merry Christmas if I don't see you tomorrow, everyone. That was a fun live. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, bye. I'll announce before the next one, so you know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a Merry Christmas. If I don't see you, thank you so much. Turun, Keith, the Hawk. Thank you very much. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Have wonderful, wonderful holidays with your friends and family. Okay. All right. Bye, you all. How do I turn this thing off? Okay, there we go.